All right, welcome back to Fish Legends, guys. I am Steve Taft, Captain Legend, standing here with Nate from H&M Landing's Tackle Shop. And today we are going to be pulling on some heavy rail rods. If you guys like this content, please remember to subscribe so you can catch more fish. All right, so let's go over the lineup that we got today. First off, from 310 Rod Works, this is a United Composite blank. This is the Invictus.
This is a big papa right here.
Yeah, so this is our heaviest rod that we'll be showcasing today. Rated like 100 to unlimited,
100
right?
to unlimited. They just redid this blank with 310 Rod Works, so they actually added a bunch more carbon fiber towards the base of it. Haven't pulled on this version of this rod, but I'm really expecting a lot. They're stout.
We're gonna start out with 25 pounds when we lift on it, because that's kind of where you guys are gonna set your drag. And then we're gonna top out at 50 pounds. The reason I chose 50 pounds is most of your reels top out at 50 pounds of drag. So if you have your drag all the way buttoned down, that's gonna be showing that right there. We have our Okuma PCH. It is a 7'4" rod, rated 150 to 200 pounds. Tell me a little bit more, Nate.
So again, a really stout rod. This is one that we've used in our rental department as well. So this one has caught lots of fish on it. It's well loved and well broken in. But bang for buck, these are pretty tough to beat, man. They're kind of in that $300 price range, and we'll see how it pulls compared to the big boys, but it should pull really similar to the expensive stuff.
Next up, Phenix Hybrid. This one is rated 80 to 200, so that is a big gap, right? Instead of the 100 to 200 pound, they're saying their rod has a little bit more sensitivity to it, and that you can fish that lighter line on it. This one's 7-footer, I believe, 704.
That's pretty typical for the Phenix stuff. You know, we talk all the time about how different companies rate their rods, and you know, would you equate the rating of one guy to another guy? Phenix likes to put a lot of taper in their rods, so a lot of their things are rated, say, 40 to 100 pound. Or 50 to 150 or something like that. So they have a lot of range.
All right, next rod in the lineup, Seeker OSP. This one is rated 100 to 200 pound. It even tells you drag rating of 30 to 50 pounds. So when you set that drag, that's where they want you.
That's something that's kind of unique about Seeker too, is again, we always talk about the ratings that these rods are. Well, Seeker actually goes another step forward. They rate their rods for the amount of drag that you'd want to set your reel to. So they do have a line rating on the rod. They also have a drag rating of 20 to 40 pounds. Tells us we should be able to hang 20 to 40 pounds off this rod, no question.
Team Rainshadow coming in. This is actually our lightest rod here. This one's rated 50 to 130, but if you guys have seen our previous videos, the Rainshadow blanks have kind of stole the show for hanging weight. So we kind of wanted to show the difference in action hanging 25 pounds versus a lighter rod to a heavier rod. And we wanted to bring back one of the stars of the show in our previous videos.
Yep, and it'll be a little different too. This one's a little bit shorter. Last one we were using is 7.6, and this is a 6.6, is that right?
Yeah, 6.7 I think on the blank.
6.7, so we got about a foot less of rod, so we'll see if that impacts the way it pulls.
Okay, last rod on the lineup here. You guys have been seeing it on the far end. This is like your typical old, I had this at home, I used it for a troller rod, can I use it as a rail rod? We see guys bring them out all the time. This is all fiberglass. So it'll take the weight, no problem. But we're talking about the lift, the recoil, the rod helping you to fight the fish. And we're just gonna showcase why, if this is in your garage, it may not be the option that you wanna bring out to fight a 200-pound tuna. Let's get down to it and lift some weights off the ground. Check out the action on these rods.
All right, we're checking out the creme de la creme.
First up on the rail is the 310 Rod Works United Composite Invictus. This one should handle this weight easy. All these rods really should.
Yeah. This one especially, man, this thing's rated 100 pound to unlimited. It should throw or eat just about anything we throw at it, really. So actually, yeah, pretty good, dude. You're getting it shut off about 1, 2, 3, 4 guides up. You're getting a lot of bend down here, and then it really shuts off. You can actually see below this guide where the carbon fiber, that second layer of carbon fiber is added. That's where it really starts to get stiff. You're getting very little bend below that point.
I'm gonna give a little bounce here, showing the fight of a fish, kind of mimicking that with 25 pounds of drag.
So if that was your tail thump, as you can see that thing loading up a little more, you're starting to see that carbon fiber eat a little bit more of that bounce. So well done, United Composites. That thing tapers phenomenally.
Yeah, and you can see it wants to kick and straighten up. It wants to give you that lift.
It's
obviously lifting. A fish is not dead weight. It's swimming through the water, right? So that's your backbone on the rod. 25 pounds, easy. Okay, we're doubling the weight. We're up to 50 pounds. This should handle it, no problem, like we said. This is as heavy of drag as you're gonna wanna fish is 50 pounds, right?
Yeah, pretty much any of your big stuff, 30s, 50s, 50 wides, are going to be maxing out around that number. So
yeah.
Hardly anything on the market's giving you more than that we're fishing with.
All right. We are off the ground, as you can see, hanging
there. So
there.
again, dude, you're kind of seeing a little bit more of that bend into that carbon fiber section here, but it's really eating that weight once you get into that. So that thing is stout.
I'm going to give it a little bounce to show the action.
It's loving it, dude. It's spreading the weight out, no problem. Once it hits that carbon fiber section, I'm impressed, man.
Yeah, this is a heavy duty badass rod, guys. I'm glad to be able to showcase this one on the channel. You guys can see the action. 50 pounds of drag. I'm bouncing it pretty good here. You have no worries if you're using your rod properly. It's not going to go anywhere. On to the next rod here. This is the Okuma PCH. This one is rated 150 to 200 pounds. We're gonna start with 25 pounds again. Should handle it, no issues.
Yeah, 4XH rod, 25 pounds of drag would be very comfortable on a rod like this. No problem.
Yeah, talk about that action real quick.
It is a graphite rod. So again, you're not seeing that really hard shut off about here. You're actually getting bend all the way about to where it's hitting the rail there.
Yeah.
So you're not getting that super hard shut off, but it's getting a little bit more parabolic from the base all the way to the tip.
Okay, once again, I'm gonna give it a little bounce.
And it's eating. You can see that last UC like to really eat it in that section between the glass and the carbon fiber. And this one's really just spreading it out over the whole rod.
All right, 50 pounds it is. Okuma PCH, 50 pounds now. It's rated up to 200 pounds, so if we put 25% drag, or if we're using a Talica 50 that maxes out at 50 pounds of drag, this is a very likely scenario for this rod to face out in the wild. Maybe you're fishing the kite, something like that. So here we go.
Nice, man. So it looks like you're having a little bit more trouble lifting from your end. And again, that's coming from the fact that it's bending all the way from where it's hitting the rail, starting to bend all the way to the tip. So you don't have that hard shut off. The rod's just kind of eating it.
Bouncing it now.
The same thing. That's actually kind of where these rods excel. When you get those big tail thumps, that fish gets a second wind or it hits the thermocline and takes off on you, these things will just kind of eat it, but it's still giving you good recoil and good lifting power. And for the price, these rods are really tough to beat. Yeah,
this is a great intro to kite fishing, something like that. You want to target cows strictly. For the price point to get in the game, the Okuma PCH. It's not quite doing as much as the Unlimited from 310 that we just saw, but still, to get in the game and catch a big fish, that's a good option. Seeker OSP, this is a 4X, rated 100 pound to 200 pound. I would say that this rod is almost underrated before we even put weight on it, I'm gonna guess, but we'll see here. 25 pounds, let's go ahead and get a lift.
And then they rate this thing as far as drag on the reel too, so yeah.
Oh, you can see it wants to lift already. I'm not bouncing it.
Yeah, this thing's getting a ton of lift. So you're getting hardly any bend from the rail to about the third, fourth guide up here. And then, yeah, all your bends coming in the tip. So that thing is absolutely lifting, no problem.
So now I'm going to bounce it to mimic the fight a little bit.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So it's actually eating from about right above the grip. When you start bouncing, starts eating from about there.
And it's got no problem. This is a hell of a rod if you're going to be kite fishing, I think, personally. Let's go ahead and up the weight and go up to 50 pounds.
So upper echelon. So this thing, they're rating it up to 40 pounds of drag, right? So in theory,
pounds, 50 pounds, 30 to 50 pounds of drag, 100 to 200 pound line. So
you should be able to statically lift 50 pounds, no problem.
This is the top end of it. Yeah, this is where they want you to go to. If you hook a big fish on the kite using 200 pound test, you have your Talica 50 set to 50 pounds of drag. Let's see how it works.
Okay, so same thing actually. You're getting a lot more bend from about the first guide all the way down now. You can see the line's comfortably not touching the blank anywhere. You're staying off the grip.
Yeah, this one was a little bit easier to lift than our last blank, than the Okuma. So I'm going to show the bounce now.
Nice. That thing eats from deep down on the blank, man, all the way down.
Yeah, this one's a more comfortable pull than the last one for sure. It's handling the 50, no problem. As we expected though, rated 100 to 200 pound, up to 50 pounds of drag on the rod rating. So another big heavy hitter. You guys can see the action there. Let's move on to the next rod. Okay, now up is the Phenix Hybrid Black Diamond.
Yeah, so interesting blend of materials these guys are using. It's actually kind of a combination of all the best stuff. They got graphite in there, They got S-glass in there, which is a little lighter and a little stronger for the weight than your E-glass stuff. And they got carbon fiber in there as well. So interested to see how they blend them all together and make it lift.
All right, here goes 25 pounds.
Very solid. Okay, so as expected, actually really similarly to the other carbon fiber backed rods, that carbon section is really holding a lot of the weight, doing a lot of the lifting.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of kicking too. I'm not bouncing it right now.
Yeah,
that's the rod wanting to kick, helping you fight a fish right now. I'm actually impressed by it. Let's go ahead and put a little bounce in it to mimic a fight with 25 pounds of drag.
Nice, so same thing actually, again, really similar to the last carbon fiber rod. As you start to put the bounce on it, it starts to blend into the carbon material, but the graphite is giving it a nice soft tip. So
it feels more stout than I expected actually, so
I've got to give
pleasantly
it to Phenix.
surprised there. Let's up it to 50 pounds. Let's see how she does.
Cool. So yeah, this is kind of our upper echelons of your real world scenario. Awesome, man. Wow.
There it goes.
So again, we talked about the Phenix earlier and how they give you a large taper. This thing's rated 80 pound to 200 pound, where a lot of the heavy rods we're seeing rated 150 to 200, etc. So you're getting your soft 80 pound in the tip here, a ton of bend. You're getting a ton of that 200 pound backbone towards the carbon fiber. So
we're gonna give it a little bounce now.
I would say I agree with that rating, surprisingly.
Yeah, you can see it's holding it quite well. Good absorption through it. So if you have big tail thumps, that'll be a little easier on the angler, right?
It's a nice rod. I would fish that.
All right, we're gonna set down the 50 pounds and we're gonna move on to the next rod. Okay, we have the Team Rainshadow here. This one is the slightly shorter one from our previous videos. If you guys haven't checked that out, we put this rod to the max. It held, I'm not gonna tell you how many pounds. We kept on putting weight till it broke. Click on the link right here, follow that, and check out the breaking strength. But we're gonna showcase this one's 50 to 130. It's on the lighter end and kind of show you the difference of 25 pounds hanging on this versus a heavier rod.
Right on. So again, it's gonna pull a little bit more like our 2XHs that we were pulling on the last video, a little bit softer, but to be honest, man, this thing's really stiff in the bottom section. And then once you get into that glass tip, you're getting all your bends. So these guys are using a graphite and a glass blend to give you that, the taper from the soft to the backbone. And
let's put a little bounce on it, show the action.
Nice. So yeah, you can actually, in an up close view, you can see right below this guide where those two materials are weaving in together. That's definitely exactly where it starts to taper into the backbone. 25,
no issue at all. Like we said, this is the lightest rated rod. We're just showing you a little comparison. We're gonna bump it up to 50 pounds. Like we said, this rod's only rated 50 to 130, the lightest one that we're showing, but it should handle this no problem. Here we go.
Nice, easy lift. How are you feeling on the shorter rod versus the longer rod on the lifting
It's more,
end?
I think, but that's more because there's not as much off the butt, right? So I don't have as much.
Sure,
if I reposition a little further back, I'm gonna get more lift on the fulcrum right here. That might even change the bend a little.
And that's, yeah, it does actually a little bit. So again, you're starting to see the composite material right about here, and this thing's bending about to the rail. But again, this is the maximum, real world scenario.
Yeah.
None of your reels that you're fishing this rod on are gonna do more drag than this.
And here's the bounce to show the action.
Again, guides are set up good. You're keeping the line off the blank all the way around. Very little twisting.
Yeah. And these Rainshadows, you can only buy them as a blank. They're not wrapped. So if you guys would like to wrap your own rod and you like this one right here, this is a Rainshadow. 50 pounds, no problem. You can see the action. We're going to set this down, and now we're going to show you that that trolling setup that you may have in the garage, the old all fiberglass with the roller guides. We want to try to use as a rail rod. We see these out actually more often than you think. All
the time. Yeah, guys will dig out. They have an old 6.0 Senator, a 4.0 Senator. They know it holds enough line to get down and do the big fish thing. It's big and it'll hold enough 100-pound, and the rod's heavy, and can I use it? We see that all the time.
And I fully suspect this is going to hold the weight. Looking at this, you can see the butt is much shorter behind the reel. That's not a lot for me to pull on. So I'm gonna have to slide it back on the Hypalon a little bit further.
And it's actually unusual that this one has such a long upper grip too. A lot of these old school rods have as short of an upper grip as they do of that butt grip.
We're gonna start with 25 pounds, and I don't think it's gonna have any problem lifting any of the weight. In fact, we may keep on going after 50 pounds and just see what this thing can take. 25 pounds. No problem lifting it.
No problem. Actually, not as parabolic of a bend as I thought. I thought 25 would already be bending it up to the handle.
Yeah, there's a little
about
bend
3 or 4 guides
about
of
to
bend.
here.
Yeah.
Not bad though. It is doing a little bit of kicking, not a lot. I'm going to show the bounce and show the action now. And you can see it's getting
So as you're
way
bouncing,
deeper.
dude, I think that tip's actually ending lower than when you started bouncing, whereas those other ones, tip always wants to find its way up and up and up.
It wants to hang. It doesn't want to come back up.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, with the proper reel on a rod like this, you probably would land your fish. You might have a little bit tougher time.
It's going to take more effort on your part. The rod is not doing a lot of lifting on its own. But let's show it with 50 pounds now. So we have 50 pounds on this. I think this is an old Seeker. I'm not 100% sure. It's a custom wrapped rod from years back, so we can't see the name of it. They did not put it on.
We have 0 markings to work off of this thing whatsoever. So we're not sure who made it, what the rating is. It was donated by a fan, so thank you guys for bringing this rod to us to bend on.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Okay, here we go. 50 pounds. And that is much harder for me to get.
Yeah, so it looks like you're really struggling on the angler end of things. Your bend is going all the way down to the rail. This thing is providing you no lifting power.
All right, now we're going to show a little bounce.
To its credit though, that line is real close to the blank. Especially down here, you're really, really close to finding the absolute max of where that thing wants to live. But
it'll hold the weight, no problem. It's just not giving a lot of lift.
It's holding it. It's not loving it. And you can see, dude, the line is just about touching the grip right here.
Yeah.
This wine check looks like it's starting to separate from the grip. So it's holding it, but yeah, it's not having a great time.
But for your viewing pleasure, we're going to jump up the weight a little bit and see what this rod really can take. As it was donated to the channel, and he said, let's see what it can take. So here we go. So 75 pounds now. This is an old glass rod. It's a thick outer diameter. I don't think that it's going to have any problem lifting this. As you can see, we'll give it a little bounce even. 75 pounds, no problem.
Though I gotta say, man, from the fisherman's end of things, when that thing's bouncing, it gets really hard to hold the weight.
Yeah.
You can feel that weight bouncing.
Well, let's go up to 100. See if it takes 100. Okay, here we go, 100 pounds. And it's up, and we'll give it a little bounce even to torture it even more. All glass, thick.
I'm hearing a little
diameter.
creaking.
Might be the rail, to be honest. This rod is strong. So 100 pounds. Think you can take 125? Keep watching. Let's go 125. Okay, 125 pounds. Here we go. And it's up. It's high sticking. Let's give it a bounce. It's taking 125. Old glass, thick outer diameter. Not much lifting power, like we said, but hard to break. Well, we're out of weight, but we're gonna try to come up with something here. How much do you weigh, Josh?
195.
195. We're gonna try to lift 200 pounds. All right.
The line broke, actually.
No, it was the line. My head hit yours.
Yeah. Are you good?
Well, we tried to improvise with 200 pounds. You can't break this rod. It's not gonna do much lifting for you.
I'm gonna have to give a shout out to Iserline for this 200-pound tube, man. We've been putting in work with this line this video.
All right, so that kind of went as I expected. All the rods performed really well. The upper echelon was the 310 by United Composites. Tell me what you thought about that real quick.
That thing was a beast of a rod. So United Composites is one of those where you're absolutely paying for a premium product, but you're absolutely getting the premium product that you pay for.
Yeah, that price point's a little higher on there, but that's a reliable rod that you can trust to do the job.
Price point's higher, but then again, you get your guys that come in the shop, dude. Not everybody wants to spend $700 on a rod. If you just want something that'll get you out there, it's gonna catch you your big fish, it's gonna get you the photo of holding one of these,
that
you can get away
Okuma
just
PCH,
fine.
just like we showcased the second rod.
Absolutely. So
price
that
point's
PCH,
much lower, right?
Probably about half of what that UC costs. You're looking at like mid to low 300s, and that is phenomenal.
It didn't have the lifting power, obviously, and it was bending further. It's rated 80 to 200, a little bit. No, that one was 150 to 200.
It's 150 200.
That was a
to be fair,
4X.
too, that rod is one that's been in our rental department for a long time. That thing's probably caught dozens of fish over 100 or over 200 pounds. So it's a little softer than it might have been when you first got it from the factory, but absolutely still capable of landing a big one.
The Phenix rod performed well. You know, that S-Glass combo that it had in it. It seemed to be doing real well lifting.
I'm actually not sure what the price point is on those Phenix rods. I'd have to look it up. S-glass tends to be a more premium glass. It's a little bit more expensive than the E-glass you're seeing in your less expensive jig sticks, and you know, things like the Aero glass in that Shimano rod that we tested. Very different quality of glass.
Yeah. And then we used that Team Rainshadow rod that was only 50 to 130. It was, you know, completely outclassed by the other rods rating wise. But performance-wise, it wasn't that far behind, honestly.
It's not, and price-wise, like you said, so you can't go and buy a wrapped rod from Rainshadow. Rainshadow sells components, blanks, Alps guides, things like that. So if you went and picked up a blank, it wouldn't cost you very much at all. If you're capable of wrapping it, that's a really, really great option. If not, there's a lot of phenomenal rod wrappers locally here in SoCal, and you can find one of those guys, get you on the water for probably still under the price of one of those UCs or something on the upper end.
And the Seeker OSP, the 4X, is another one of those upper echelon ones.
So OSP is actually really, really good bang for buck.
Yeah.
You can get into something like a Super Seeker by Seeker, and you can spend a whole lot more. You're not necessarily getting a much better quality rod. OSPs pull phenomenally. They put really good components
It was evidence
on
on that bend, and it was pretty easy for me. And I feel like if somebody owns their own skiff and they're going out cow fishing all the time for 200 plus pounders, it's a pretty good option that we showcased.
Definitely, and it's also a really tough option. It's a rod you can beat on pretty mercilessly, and that's one you can throw around on the sport boat and throw it in your pile of rods and throw it back in your truck bed when you're done. You're not gonna have to worry about losing a wrap on a guide or something like that.
And then finally, our old fiberglass blank. You brought your trolling rod out from the 90s, big bluefin around, and you're gonna try it on that. We showed that it'll hold the weight, it'll support the drag. Maybe if you have a real good 2-speed that's doing most of the work, but like we said, it just kind of lays there. It'll hold the weight, but it's not gonna kick.
Yeah, and the problem with those guys is usually when you see them on the rail, it's got some kind of old single speed on it or a big old star drag on it, and not really your best friend fighting big fish, but like we showed, it would probably get it done,
Yeah, it's just more lifting for you than the rail doing work for you. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you watching to this point. If you're still here, you guys are the real homies. Check out our next video, and we'll see you out on the water.
This is how